Hello and welcome to episode 38 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and a man who isn't here anymore, Mark. Well, he's not dead, he's just left the house. So as a break from tradition, it's just me left here to introduce you to the second part of our chat, which is literally where we left off. So here we go.
So going back to Paul Embry.
Yes.
Paul Embry tweeted, 377 people have died with COVID who have been under the age of 60 with no pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
He printed that.
How many, sorry?
377.
Okay.
So under 60-year-olds with no pre-existing.
Yeah.
And he had a torrent of abuse about being anti-old people and about trivialising things.
Right.
This is taken from the NHS figures. It was government figures.
Yeah, sure.
And what he said was, I'm just stating it. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad.
Didn't pass judgment on it. He just went, here's a fact.
It's interesting
Okay.
that that's the figure.
Right.
My interpretation is, I think...
Interesting in what way? Because you could go, what, interesting good? Interesting bad? Interesting there's a conspiracy? Interesting...
My first bit was,
Yeah.
well, if 60,000 people have died with COVID and 377 have been under 60 with no pre-existing conditions, and bearing in mind some of those won't have died of COVID, as we've discussed before,
Absolutely, yeah.
we might be looking at 250, 300 people that have under the age of 60.
Yeah.
And I didn't come to any conclusion other than saying to myself, that really surprises me. That's a very, very small number of people under 60 who have died.
Yep.
But the torrent of abuse has carried on for day after day after day.
Yeah, sure.
And he said it's government figures. And even MPs have come in. Someone said he should be arrested. An MP said he should be arrested.
For what? Stating the truth.
Yeah. And we're getting a bit Orwellian, aren't we? It's almost like, this is a fact. I'm going to tell you a fact. And it's like...
But back to the thing about the... we're talking about the tweets, weren't we? And there's a guy who said there should be a daily presser where they announce how many have died within 28 days of vaccination. The figures would be scary as those vaccinated.
Well, it'd be the most vulnerable groups.
Yes.
The ones being vaccinated now.
Of course.
The figures
and the ones
would
who
be
are
high.
going to be dying naturally, or that would have died anyway.
Yes.
We don't know because we can't run alternate realities to work,
Yes.
put these things side by side. And the thing I sent you on Instagram for that MP, there's a video clip which I'll put the links up to. There's a Tory MP, Sir Charles Walker, who warns that you can't compare the death of a baby or a teenager with a 90-year-old. That sounds pretty harsh, me just reading that out. Of course, the Daily Mail have jumped all over that.
Yeah.
But if you watched it, he was basically saying, if you're getting to 80 or 90, like all the things that are thrown at you in life, you've done well to get that far. And to compare that to the death of a 19-year-old and talking about tragedy and what is tragedy.
Yes.
All deaths are awful.
Yeah.
And I think he puts it quite eloquently. People love them. People are going to miss them. They want them to last forever, but we don't. So, a teenager losing their life, he would argue is a tragedy because they've got their life ahead of them that they're not going to get. Someone's got 80 or 90, the best of their life is behind them. That was kind of his point.
A brave man to say that. But...
Yeah, of course, and stand up in the House of Commons and say that.
Yeah.
And what you were just saying kind of made me think of that. What did you just say? But you did.
I think it was the bit around that. I guess it's stating a fact. I guess that isn't fact.
Yes,
that's subjective, isn't it?
That's kind of.
But you could almost make that objective. You could say for someone who's had 90 years of life against someone who's had 9.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to go. You go, well, all lives matter in that respect.
But he says that, all deaths aren't equal.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying they don't matter the same.
Yeah, and there's still
do.
sadness and remorse.
It was almost kind of saying that the perception of that, and again, a bit real, just it's reality. Older people are more likely to die. That's kind of how it works. I guess part of the food thing is just you almost got to do what's right for you based on your moral code and what your body likes, what it doesn't like, and it's so easy to get you shouldn't.
Yeah, I think there's no right or wrong. So I've just realised I don't eat fruit anymore. I've just not even consciously. And people have gone, you've got to eat fruit. It's good for you. And I don't eat fruit. I don't quite know. I do like fruit.
Yeah, but
I'll have the odd raspberry or strawberry.
Steady now.
That's it. I don't have apples. I don't have oranges. I have fruit juice every now and again. Don't have grapes. I don't eat bananas. No, I don't eat fruit.
No.
And people are going,
Every time I see you kind of chugging those little brownies.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gone all natural.
They definitely haven't gone fruit in them.
No. I just think, but people have said, oh no, you should have fruit, it's good for you. And so then I've gone, oh, why is it good for you? And they went, oh, because it's got, vitamins and minerals. And I went, yeah, as the test will show, I'm overflowing with vitamins.
I haven't had that yet.
No, I haven't had it. No. So again, it's not a right or wrong, and I'm not saying you shouldn't eat fruit.
No.
Fruit's lovely, and people should eat fruit if they enjoy fruit. But it's interesting that I've just fallen into the situation of not eating it, and people will question, and then I'll go, why? And they'll go, well, it's because it's good for you. Fruits.
It's like the breakfast. You should eat breakfast, and the fitness chef, and I think James Smith covers all that thing. It's like, food speeds up your metabolism. It's like, no, none of that. None of that is.
It's just a meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. But we're all told that, aren't we? It's the most important meal of the day.
Yeah.
We're back on Kellogg's. We're back to him. Back to masturbation deniers, aren't we? All of a sudden, I was kind of I guess it's a new year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was being a little bit reflective of our pod.
Yeah.
This is me looking at me going, no, we're not allowed to read off a piece of paper, Damon. That's not how this pod's going.
Have your own ideas, preconceived. Go on.
And I just made a list of the things I kind of enjoyed.
Okay.
It's a really short list.
Because I think some of the shit we've just been talking about is going to be cropped. So, yeah, I'd love to hear your list.
The things I want to hear about is the chef that got arrested, because you mentioned that when you started your chef job, one of them lost a leg and the other one got arrested, right?
Yeah.
Is that worth telling at some point? Doesn't have to be now. He just got arrested. But what did he get arrested? It's not a story. You can tell me what he got arrested for. Was it on the day you started?
No, I'd been employed to work behind the bar.
All right.
But there's other little stories.
Hold on, you were a chef a minute ago and you started behind the bar.
I started behind the bar, and then the day of the leg and the arrest incident, I became a chef.
It was both at the same time?
Same day.
Were they related?
Same morning. No.
Did one lock the other one's leg off?
And got arrested for it. Yeah.
Okay, so both of them didn't show up?
Yeah.
Because there were
no shows. And then so that I was drafted in, promoted.
Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. What did he do? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Oh. Pamphlet firing? You got fired for handing out pamphlets?
That's a good story.
How long is it?
I could do it in 3 minutes.
Reckon?
Yep.
Okay, go for it. If you want to.
Okay.
I don't think I could last into next year.
Understand another year. Okay.
Hold on, no, we are in next year. I keep forgetting.
Yeah. So worked as a bookie. I worked in bookmakers in what then was a fairly rough part of Bristol and is now sort of up and coming, so Eastern. And part of my role was to go into shops where there'd been a little bit of strife. And the manager from the day before had his car firebombed because he hadn't paid someone out on a bet.
Oh.
They'd Molotov cocktailed his car while he was there in the betting shop, heard this
disgruntled
explosion. Basically, someone had tried to put a bet on and he went, it's too late. Because what a lot of people do is wait for the race to start, see who's looking good, and then try and put it on.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we have a photo scanner, so your photograph is taken of your bet and timed to the second.
Right, okay.
Otherwise, you could wait there and then put it through.
Yeah, okay, right.
And so the manager went, no, you're too late. And he would have won £1,000 or something. Right, so he blew this guy's car up. So I got a phone call saying, we've got a job for you. You'll enjoy it.
You're like the equaliser of the bookie world.
So I went in.
Did you drive a Jaguar?
No, I used to have a white Charger.
What's a Charger?
It's a horse.
You went like a Dodge Charger or something. You had a horse. Fair enough. That's cool. Of course you did. Yeah.
And parked the
So you pitched
horse,
up in a part of Eastern on your white Charger?
Yeah, right next to the burnt-out Ford Fiesta.
Right.
Went in, worked there for a while. And one of the things that Ladbrokes did
left the horse outside, did you?
Yeah, safe.
Okay.
They set fire to it and we had a barbecue. They were all vegans. It was safe. So one of the things that Ladbrokes did was that I went to a union meeting and they rang me up and said, just to let you know, we don't allow unions in Ladbrokes, and you went to a union meeting. So I'd been spotted and grassed up.
Oh.
And they said, we know you've gone, but you're not allowed to join one. So just giving you a heads up on that. Okay. And that got my back up a little bit. So what happened was that Ladbrokes, as a large multinational company, were quite strict on their staff. So you can't join a union, you can't really moan. And what they started doing is that you used to get things coming through on an intercom that would go, these are the bets that we want you to promote. These are going to be the featured races, and would tell you what to write up on the boards, because everything was written up either in chalk when I first got there, or a quill.
And chisel and mallet.
We did wood carvings. Every time the price changed. Shit, 6-4. I hated 13-8 with all those curves. So Yeah, so you get this thing and go, these are the featured races, these are the bets you wanted to promote. We used to promote a bet called the Union Jack, and it was the betting slip was a great big betting slip with the Union Jack on it, and you had to pick 9 horses. And my shop loved the Union Jack because it was colourful. You pick 9 horses, and it was like
exciting.
But it was like the old tic-tac-toe. So it was like line here, diagonal, up and down. But basically, if horse number 5 lost, you were fucked.
Right.
So you would.
The way it.
Yeah, because 5 was integral because it was like diagonal lines. So if you imagine a flag, it was like 1, 5, so
that's
9.
Why it was done. I mean, it's obviously done in a way to,
So unless you realise that 5...
so 5 just unravels the whole lot.
So it's like when you do noughts and crosses. If you don't put it in the middle, you're not going to win. But no one was told this. And it was like, if you get 3 lines, you get double your winnings, 4 lines. But unless the middle horse won... Right. There was no way you could get in. So what you should have done is just put all your money on that middle horse, just as a single bet.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Instead of picking 9 horses and spending your whole...
You could have done that?
Yeah,
you could just bet on 1 horse. Okay, right.
So basically what happened is that I was working, I think, 10 till 6 was my contract. And then Ladbrokes said, a note to staff, the early morning things are going to come out at 9:30, the messages. So, just make sure. And I'm going, I don't start till 10. Anyway. Get up at 9:30, or get up at 9:25, get the horse out of the stable, open up at 9:30, and then they brought it to 9 o'clock, but there was no extra pay. And I thought, this is taking the piss now. So you basically were there longer, and then the opening hours just started changing a little bit. So we were being,
mugged off.
And then the second thing they did was introduce staff uniforms, and basically you could wear whatever you want in the betting shop. There was no sort of dress code. And these uniforms were basically, the nylon was so static, you were getting constant electric shocks. So it was like a nylon...
You walk across the shop.
Yeah, it was like sparks flying. And they weren't good. They didn't look good. They didn't look good. So anyway, this and a couple of other things, I then decided to write a Ladbrokes
poem
staff newsletter.
Okay, sorry.
So I wrote the newsletter, and it was things like the Ladbrokes Best Dressed Cashier Award has not been won for the 4th month running because you all look like shit, and there'll be like a picture of someone in their uniform. And things like all staff are going to be issued with Ladbrokes branded sleeping bags so that you can stay in the shop overnight because we're going to put the messages in from 4 a.m. So it was just satirical. So I did this, sent it off. My bad mistake.
Where did you send it? Well, head office?
No, to every betting shop in Bristol. But my mistake was I did a handwritten envelope. That's probably my first error.
I was going to say you didn't put your name on it like you graffiti.
Yeah, I graffitied it, yeah. And anyway, long story short, got a phone call a couple of days later. Can you pop into head office? Popped into head office. No word of a lie.
You must have known what it was about.
I didn't think I was going to get Employer of the Year award, but I wasn't sure it was about that because I didn't think there was any way it could be traced. Anyway, long story short, get upstairs, 2 blokes basically lock me in a room, and 2 ex-coppers basically interrogate me.
Right.
No food, no water. I was there about 6 hours.
What?
Who's funding this? Who made you do it? What union do you belong to?
Oh,
blah, 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 blah.
Blimey.
Really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And then basically, keep the story short, someone who I knew who worked in there went, basically, you're going to get stitched up.
Oh, they're trying to put it on the unions, were they?
Well, you're going to get stitched up for doing it and not giving them a name. So basically, I'd probably get out of your job. So I resigned really soon after this because it was
they were using you to kind of...
Well, if you don't tell us, you're going to suddenly find that you're being sacked for stealing 500 quid from the safe.
Okay, right. Must have been a union thing angle as well, because it
was a union angle. Yeah. Okay. But it was just. I mean, I made a mistake of obviously doing it, but it was quite scary that an organisation were so paranoid.
I'd call that a magazine. You published a satirical magazine.
It's like basically Private Eye.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. So that was
cool.
That. Yeah.
Some of the things I've enjoyed, sarcopenia. I mean, we started with that, which we always said we're going to. I mean, there's been as I started to write these down, we just haven't come back to
again.
Yeah, we do need to come back to them. Understanding and listening to your body, which I really liked. I put out a survey. Probably a good time to mention the survey I put on Instagram.
Apart from me, you had a response.
Yeah, I did. I did have a response.
Okay.
From our Russian spy.
Okay.
Guess what
more Mark.
No, it wasn't that. No, that was your answer.
Yeah.
Which I was waiting for. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Our Russian spy responded with, "Can we have more Brian?" I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be expected, I would say, right?
Yeah.
I've texted Brian today and said, you up for something soon.
He's done more since us, hasn't he? He's been...
Has he been on the circuit?
He did a Facebook Live for some cycling thingy.
What?
Like bigger than us.
Okay. Ideas above his station, the lad, isn't he? We gave him his break.
Yeah.
His lucky break.
Not a word of thanks.
No, but he said he's up for doing something, so he hasn't forgotten us yet. I've enjoyed vitamin D. It's been rammed down my throat, quite literally. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Introverts and empaths, which was a recent one, and attitudes towards money, which was an answer to one of these survey questions today. Yeah, we've kind of talked about skirting around some subjects. A lot of stuff kind of comes back to mental health. We've done a little bit of skirting because we're quite careful on what we're talking about and where we get our information from and how we position it and frame it, etc. But that was one of the things that was requested more of.
I think if I was to do a very quick list, if that's yours, I think number one, and this is purely for me rather than necessarily what I've enjoyed per se, is that I find it a cathartic experience, and I do find this a form of escapism. And when I came in today, I wasn't actually a bundle of fun and laughs, but I do find that gives me the ability to, a little bit like mindfulness, to put thoughts on boats and let them pass through and just concentrate on this. So I do find it cathartic. I do find it helps my mental health. And I also think the other thing it helps my mental health is just the tiny snippets of someone going, when you and Damien said this, or... that made me think, or I think it was when somebody I went down that cul-de-sac in Sutton Coldfield.
Yeah.
And I realised...
You weren't the only one.
Yes. And I realised it wasn't, a drug-induced haze.
I cannot believe a listener went, yeah, I've been down there as well. I'm not sure whether we mentioned that or not.
I don't think we mentioned it. We won't say who she is.
No.
She knows.
Yeah. That was brilliant, though. Did you feel a bit better that you didn't imagine that? You don't have a dodgy curry and hallucinate the whole thing?
Yeah, it wasn't turmeric induced.
Or turmeric.
Turmeric, I was
turmeric. I like that.
Well, it's also paprika or paprika, isn't it? It's
not though, is it?
Are those palindromes?
No, palindrome is the one that reads the same backwards as it is forwards. Palindromic, isn't it?
Okay.
You're just saying it wrong. Turmeric, though, I like.
Yeah.
It sounds musical.
That's on a personal level. I think things that we've talked about that have made me think twice, I think, are sometimes when we've started a subject and I haven't really known what I think until I've engaged my mouth.
Well, you're sitting here going, I've probably never even run this one out in my mind before.
Yeah.
I have lots of those. You'll see, I think the one I was quiet on a couple of episodes ago, I was sitting there. I mean, all the effect
you
of
did
altruism.
Your mindful listening, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
You had nothing to say.
Pretty much. I was just sitting there going, there's all sorts of things going off. That's probably one thing we haven't talked about. There's all sorts of things going off in my head. And because we have a bit of an idea what we're going to talk about, we don't know how until we get into it.
No. It's like the death one. I was very happy with what we covered, but there was no sense. It just sort of flowed, but it wasn't how I thought. And this was a question I'd like to put to you. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm quite verbose. I accept I'm verbose. But I don't know what's going to come out of how does the brain work like that? How do you construct sentences? I don't know what... So I'm speaking now, but I don't know what I'm going to say now.
Yeah.
Or subsequently. Or what words I'm going to use. Or
Incredible,
how I'm going to...
But it's like this, they're all being stitched together and then just kind of...
But your brain must work
without you
so
knowing.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I was just going to say your brain must work
it's
so
a bit
quickly.
like dreams. If dreams are kind of putting all that, they're putting worlds together and structures and people's faces.
And intricacies.
In such detail.
And emotions as well.
Yeah, and
you think the emotion of a dream.
You think, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But it probably is slightly ahead of what we kind of think of the needle on the timeline. It's probably a couple of seconds or nanoseconds ahead. Yeah. But we're kind of getting into the kind of the micro, the tiny...
It's almost like the time delay on radio that we're almost... Our brain's already ahead of...
It's probably 5 minutes for the brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
A fraction of a second is ages for the brain. It's going on forming all these words and it's drawing them all on the walls of our heads.
But I was thinking that the interaction, like I was looking just now and you just did a slight creasing of between your eyes, like a slight quizzical.
Like that.
And I'm straight away, like shut the fuck up.
Like I'm
you
having
said
a shit.
3 minutes. Yeah. But And then I'm changing how I'm speaking, and I'm adapting to my audience.
There's thrown a lot of things out, but we're talking about video conferencing and the verb now, which is to Zoom.
Yeah,
and that's the thing I think you don't quite get on video. When you're sat with someone, you can see every little tiny movement in their eyes and the crinkles in their face.
Yeah,
and that tells us so much stuff, doesn't it? And we change our whole physiology.
Yes.
And
to adapt
our brain
to those stimulus.
And I think we take that for granted. Usually take that for granted.
Yeah.
But it's working overtime, isn't it? Catching up. So on the altruism thing, I was sitting there going, all the things you are telling me are challenging me. So I'm feeling being challenged. And they're listening to you, also going, why am I feeling so challenged? Why do I feel like I don't have a charitable bone in my body?
Yeah.
Why don't I feel?
I find it hard to say thank you. Yeah, that's sweet.
I did genuinely, but I don't know. It's just because I was sat here with you and I'm not sat here with anybody else. But also, your brain is going. You might want to speak at some point. You might want to kind of contribute because you're being recorded here, and there's loads of things going on, isn't there?
Yeah.
Whilst
I'm speaking too much.
Yeah, about things I don't know about.
I get that a lot. Yeah.
When we finish doing these things, that's probably why we feel so knackered out. I do. I'm just like kind of. It's like it's having a busy meeting at work or something, a kind of intensive one. This is very different to having a business meeting.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize how much you're putting into it. But
because we had this discussion, and we'll probably draw this to a close quite quickly, but it was the bit when I was saying about us putting an act, and it was just that was the way you use language, because I think you took that as almost like putting on the mask of the Harlequin at the king's king's court.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean it like that, but I meant you're putting on a performance.
That's a really good example of that, because I knew you weren't saying that. But then I also wanted to get across how I feel, because there is an element of, again, your brain's doing all that. How my brain's trying to slow my. I'm doing it right now, and then I can't actually speak because I realise my mouth goes before my brain does, and I'm trying to slow things down and trying to get my thoughts across. And they're things I hadn't thought of before. And language, you say kind of acting or performance, or they're very different words. They mean similar things.
Yeah, there's nuance in them.
Yeah, and your brain's just trying to process. Actually, it's the first time I've even thought about that. It's the first time I might have thought about it, but someone else saying it to you puts a different edge on it.
Yeah,
because normally you're left with your own thoughts about these things. You don't just sit down around with people going, I think I put on performance when I'm up on the podcast. I mean, you don't have those conversations.
Yeah.
So
I think the other thing, and I find saying thank you easier than you maybe from what you said last time, is that without being creepy and sycophantic, sometimes you're editing on this. I will say things and you will take out a whole batch of stuff and I'll go, that was such the right decision. It's almost...
I wonder where you're going with that.
No, there'd be things that
I said something really lovely and you took it out. It made me sound like a complete prick.
No, I'll say something and I'll go... There was the story about the roof the other day. It wasn't really a story. The story was, I jumped off a roof and a nail went through my foot.
Yeah, that would have done.
It
was about 8 minutes.
And it wasn't a good story. So there's those examples where your editing is because we ramble.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes things that I've said that I don't feel comfortable about. And when I listen to the edit, I want to go back to you and go, can you just change this? And you've already done it. And I think that's such a mastery of understanding the dynamic of how this works and the balance of how this works. And so, I think your editing
it's also knowing
skills
what where your, I get to know more where your boundaries are. And I think instinctively I probably have that anyway, but the more we do it.
I just think you're really proficient at it, so...
I haven't got
try and take the fucking compliment. Just sit there.
Gotta do it. Shut up.
Yeah.
If you're fishing for it, you're not going to get one back.
No. But you did it last time. You said I was looking big. That's all.
You got a lovely hat.
Yeah, it's new.
I've noticed. I wasn't sure. I haven't seen it before. I wasn't sure. I was actually going to ask how many hats you've got.
Not as many watches as you've got.
Yeah. I reckon you've probably got about 10 hats.
Probably less, actually. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I'd like more. Shout out. Wayne.
Well, it's a long time to your birthday and next Christmas.
Yeah.
That last thing was the things I kind of want to explore.
Got you.
So more Brian. I think we always
definitely
want to do more Brian anyway. And, without our Russian spy.
I think I don't think she's alone.
Spy who loved Brian. Maybe that's not a very good Bond title, is it?
We're just trying to think of putting Brian into...
Yeah. Brian food. We've got brain food. We can have Brian food.
Brian pussy. I don't know. Maybe I've gone off.
Some things are easy to edit out.
Yeah, Brian is forever.
Brian is forever. That's good. Common Sense Committee.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I went back through all my notes of all the pods and things that we haven't had time, or we've stood in the garage and you've gone, I like you haven't gone into too much detail on that, but that could be good to roll out.
I think it could be, yeah. That might be quite good to have scenarios and what would the Common Sense Committee do in terms to explain my view of the Common Sense Committee.
Yeah, that would be good. We could take any topical thing, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Finding your centre. I was talking to my friend about that and she's done a lot of work on that and she's dying to be part of this podcast in some way. So it might be kind of a quick, chat with her. But also, I think you've mentioned it recently or something along it. Might not have been called about finding your centre.
I'm looking a little bit quizzical.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe it's around anchoring and basing and in terms of the mindfulness.
Yeah, I think
that sort of connection.
I think it's
yourself.
probably just different language.
Yeah. I think so.
Or finding that place where you feel comfortable.
Well, I think another guest would be good. I think.
Yeah, no, she's been listening to what we've kind of been doing, and our cake and coffee conversations are around that. And and she used the phrase "finding a centre," and it's taken her a while to find it.
Yeah,
I think this goes for everybody. I don't think it's possible to constantly live there.
No,
and have that centre all the time. Which I guess your centre could be a comfort or space, whether it's physical or
somewhere
mental.
safe probably.
Yeah, that you feel where you can kind of take on the world and you feel strong and you feel true and honest and where everything just aligns and everything starts to work.
Yeah.
And I think if you've found it and you know what it is, know what it looks like, and also probably more importantly know what it feels like, then you can try and work on ways of trying to find a path back to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you know what the path is, it doesn't mean you can always get there. But it's a long way down the track if you can know some of the tools and techniques to use. The community, there's loads of things that we've kind of flirted with.
Yeah.
Maybe selfishness and kind of, how selfishness is kind of frowned upon, looking after number one. But the whole kind of mental health tack is pretty much about looking after number one and being selfish.
Yeah.
It's not selfish in the way that you're not thinking about someone else or you're being nasty or someone's
the self-care and the self-compassion, definitely.
But the word selfishness is a dirty word. We've probably all been brought up on the fact that you shouldn't be selfish.
Yeah. But I think it's the self-care. The self-care
yes,
is
I think
high on.
We're back into language again.
Yeah. But just going back
I'm not saying you have to be selfish.
I know what you mean. You can't take care of other people till you've taken care of yourself, definitely.
Yes, which can easily be labelled as being selfish.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the kind of language around that, but looking after number one, and if you don't find your centre and you don't find to work yourself out, then you're going to be no good for anyone. So
the compliments one, just heading back on that, it was, like I said to you when I came in today, I've hardly ever would do a training session that someone's paid for and join in. Yeah. I don't think we had one, but that wasn't... Well, it was a sort of paid for, wasn't it? We talked through your session, so I said, come round and we'll train together.
You felt bad because we'd had a chat.
Yeah.
It was the first and last time we ever trained together. Yeah. It's fine.
No,
it's fine.
You're welcome back.
No, it's fine.
Now you can do a 100k deadlift. You're welcome back in the Ton Up Club. So Wayne came in today, as I explained to you. I trained with him for part of his session today, which was both, he found it very useful and I enjoyed it because it gave me a feeling of what he was doing. So I had a real sort of, real-time experience of what he was lifting, what I was lifting. And on my very first lift, he went, your form is just so exceptional. He said, if you were in a gym and someone was watching you, everything you did was perfect. Now, I was lifting a really small weight. I knew he was watching and I wanted to do it right.
Yeah.
And I am very strict on form. But I was glowing from that. And he's a nice guy and he'll say complimentary things, but the way that he'd framed the compliment was almost a recognition that I was doing that one activity correctly. And I'm still, glowing from that. And I think the compliments thing is maybe a little bit like the hydration. Maybe we need to remind ourselves or other people through our actions. Yeah. Because what happened was a little bit later, I complimented him, not like, you be nice to me, I'll be nice to you, but yeah, you are doing something. If I feel this good, I want you to feel this good.
Yeah.
So I didn't just do it,
So well done, Wayne. You almost lifted as much as me.
Yeah. He just beat me today. He just beat me. It's not a competition.
No, it's not. No, it is with you two, if you imagine.
Yeah. So, I think that there was, when I got that glow from his words, my first thought is like, try and then spread that. And I think...
But not everyone is good like me. I'm not good at taking them.
No,
you're great. Because you want them.
Yeah.
You want that affirmation.
Yeah.
I'm kind of not built like that. But
no,
I'm not sitting here saying it doesn't feel good when someone does.
Yeah.
I just find it a little bit
Yeah, whereas I would actively encourage
if someone sent me a letter and said, I thought you were brilliant at that, I don't want, I'd be much more happy with that.
Yeah.
Or leave me a voicemail.
Yeah.
I don't want the immediate, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I feel incredibly awkward in that real-time moment.
Yeah. Whereas you're right, my need for affirmation is quite almost proactive, that I will almost have the situation contrived to
to get one. I think the kind of giving time, this is like my last one, kind of giving time, the altruism stuff, time and attention we've kind of talked about, and giving that. It doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be financial assistance for any good thing. And like I said to you this week, and a mutual friend, it's about when I met you, and what brought us all together was the fact that you've all put lots of time and attention into kids football, setting up the football clubs, which you're still chairman of. Is that correct?
President, which means I do less.
Right, yeah, but you wear a crown and medals and things.
And ermine.
Ermine, as we just Stoat, wasn't it?
Yeah, especially Stoat when it has its winter white coat on.
Oh, that's white fur.
So that's the ermine that would be used more than its summer coat.
Okay. You don't actually have one, just for the record. You
don't
have
a cape.
You don't have fur. You have a cape.
Not all heroes wear ermine.
But I was always kind of wowed by that. The fact that you've all done it for your kids, and even though your kids have all kind of grown up and gone on to other things, you're still involved in it. Which I think is amazing. And I think from my experience with football, I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but I was lucky enough to always have my parents at as many football, with three boys all playing football. When we're in the same park and when there's 3 games, they could probably spread their time between all 3 of us. But I don't ever really remember a time when they weren't at the football.
Yeah.
And all I remember is them. I don't remember any other kids' parents watching, support. It's one of those things, everyone, they all drop them off and they bugger off, don't they? And they don't.
Yeah, become child.
I don't know whether that's the same anymore or better, but for you to kind of not only just kind of support your own children, your own kids and other people's kids, and turn up in the cold, get the balls out, put the nets up, put the flags up, get all the bib, and then your kids all grow up and go to university and just, but you're still involved. I think that's amazing. And none of you kind of moan about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sitting there, you're saying all these things.
I think everyone wants to be a football manager though, don't they?
Yeah, but it's not just that though, is it? It's all it's the graft and the meetings and the, it's a thankless fucking task, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, maybe you do get parents ringing you up and go, thank you for doing a good job. But
you also get parents going, how much are you getting paid for this? Stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, we've had 1 or 2 parents where we've said, can you just help us put the nets up? And people have come back and
pay?
Well, no, you're getting paid, you do it. I'm here to watch my kid.
I haven't been paid in 15 years of doing this.
Yeah, well, it costs, doesn't it? It costs in terms of time. And
that's
if the subs aren't there, you end up putting a tenner in it to...
Yeah, all you guys kind of do it almost effortlessly without thinking about it. It's kind of in your nature, it's in your blood. And all of you are kind of similar. And I'm sitting there kind of the one who doesn't do those things going, I don't do shit for anything.
But I think football's a strange magnet with blokes. They'll do things that they wouldn't do.
Maybe.
It's like that and running the bottle raffle at school fetes, isn't it? That's as far as they go.
Yeah. That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far, and thanks for listening. All references will be in our show notes as usual. Please make sure you subscribe to us and give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That would be lovely. And you can give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at I'mFinecast, and you can send us an email to imfinecast@gmail.com. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of things we just mentioned, actually, which is the Common Sense Committee.
Yeah.
So I see your eyes light up when I mentioned it. It's like, we haven't talked about that.
I just suddenly realised for like 30 whatever episodes we've forgotten.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So we'll see you we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, we're already in next year.
I know. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
All right, see you soon.
Yeah, see you.
Bye.